Well, welcome everybody. I have my dear friend John Gray with me today. John, for the 3 people in the world who don't already know this, is the world's leading love and relationship expert. His amazing, groundbreaking book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, sold over 50 million copies in over 50 countries. And he has an incredible website where he gives away the most delicious free content all the time. It's called MarsVenus.com. And I just have to read this to you. John's purpose is to create a world where men and women understand, respect, appreciate, and ultimately work together. God, I love that. John, it's great to see you.
It's so great to see you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you. So I want to kick off today because what we're going to be talking about is how women can get their needs and desires met by their mate. And I know so many of the women who are watching this are thinking, well, I tell him all the time exactly what I want, and yet it's not happening. So can you tell us what they're doing wrong and how to do it right?
Well, it's a big subject, but the bottom line is, yes, we have to learn how to ask men for what you want. Telling them what you want doesn't always come across. Often women kind of hint, or if they've hinted enough and he doesn't respond, then she sort of gets upset. And when she's upset, she asks for more. And that's precisely the wrong time to ask for more. When you're upset, that's the time to talk to a girlfriend, center yourself in some way, come from more of a loving place, and you can also tell them what the feelings are inside, but when your heart is open. One of the biggest things that motivates a man to do more in a relationship is a woman's vulnerability. So at times when you're bothered about something, let him know how you feel, but not when you're really upset with him. Lessen the upset with him by talking to a girlfriend, or by meditating or journaling or going for a walk in nature, and then talking to him about your feelings. So let me give you a quick example. Last time my wife was upset with me, I was late for dinner. So 3 hours late for dinner. Now that hadn't happened in a while, but it was very upsetting to her. She was worried. She felt like my course participants were more important than her, and that the meal was ruined. So naturally she was upset. All rights to be upset. And also she called my phone and I didn't answer because I had it turned off because I was giving a talk. So when I came home, I said, would you want to talk about it? She said, no, we can talk tomorrow. And what I had to do is trust, she'll work it through and then we'll talk tomorrow. And then when she did talk the next day, she said, John, I just want to tell you how I felt about it. It's not a big deal. I just want you to understand it. Now that's the most important thing, Ariel. If you say to a man, it's not a big deal, he'll actually make a big deal out of it and never forget it. It's when women get upset about things that men aren't doing, our defenses come up. And when our defenses come up, we really can't hear anything. And that's true of both men and women. When your defenses are up, blood flow goes to the back part of the brain and diminishes in the front part of the brain, where we can really hear and empathize and understand with another point of view. So that's the first message there. Ask for what you want when you're feeling good, then ask for a little more. Because then he anticipates, oh, if I do that, she's going to respond with a lot of appreciation. And that's your power as a woman, is your love. Men are motivated by your love, not punishment, not criticism, not ignoring. But when you ask for something and he does it, even though you think, well, he should do it. I do so much more for him. I know it's challenging, but if you make a little big deal out of it, like, oh, gosh, thanks. Oh, I'm so relieved now. I don't have to do that all by myself. Some little comment that says to him, what he did made a difference to make you happy. Now you're gradually educating a man that little things make a woman happy. Because men tend to think big things should make you happy and little things aren't that important.
So I once heard you say that it's your tone of voice that sets the stage. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. This is so important. You know, most experts in communication do talk about this, which is tone of voice is 90% of the conversation. So just finding the perfect words to say doesn't always work. That's why I emphasize, take time to center yourself, come back to a loving place. But if your request is, how many times do I have to tell you this? Or you did this to me, or now I have to do this, can't you just do that? these kinds of messages, he might respond to them sometimes, but he'll forget to do it in the future, and he loses a lot of the natural motivation to always want to be doing more and more for her.
So let's say you'd really like your husband to surprise you every once in a while, but you feel kind of awkward saying, I know I'm busy, you're busy, but I really would like some surprises, or why don't you plan a date night, especially if it gets left to the woman where he says, well, do whatever you want to do, which for me is not a very gratifying answer. How do we ask for those things?
Most men don't understand what romance is, and we think that if we wait to the last minute and say, hey, what do you want to do? I'll do whatever you want, that's somehow romantic. And women often feel like, why doesn't he pick up the ball and do it? He did it in the beginning. And we have to recognize romance is not a one-way street. The outcome is a one-way street. He does something for her and she feels happy. Now that's great. However, part of why a woman wants to be surprised is because he knows what she wants and she doesn't have to ask. It's hard to ask a man. It doesn't feel romantic. It feels like you're in charge. So you want to feel like he's doing something for you. So here's a nice practical solution. You sit together, like say on Saturday, and you say, hey, let's talk about some things we'd like to do next week. And he says a few things, and you say some things. And it's hard sometimes to figure out what would I like to do without relying on the man. What would you like to do? And even if he doesn't like to do those things, that's the most important thing. It's easier to find out what you'd like to do, even if he doesn't like it. Then you talk about a few of those things. He says, well, I don't really want to do that. And says, I know you're really not into going to the museum or whatever, but it would be so much nicer if you took me. I could certainly go with my girlfriends, sure, but it feels so good when you take me. Then suddenly he's motivated to do it because it will make you happy, not because it's something he wants to do. And women have to get this. It's like a foreign language to women to think that he would want to do something that he doesn't want to do. But you see, if you tell a man, will you do this and it will make me happy, he may not want to do that thing, but if it makes you happy, he wants to do it. So this can give you a little more courage to ask what you want, even though you can sense his resistance. My wife asks for things all the time. She says, oh, you want to go here? And I'll try to talk her out of it for a few moments, and she'll look at the lot. Well, that makes sense. I can understand that. You'd rather stay home and watch that show, right? Yeah. She'll pause, and then she'll go, I really would love it if you came. It would be so wonderful. And he'll resist a little, but he'll take action. Now, a lot of women at that point will stop because they go, I don't want him bringing this up, that he did this thing for me and he did this thing for me. Men aren't like women. Women, you're experts at that. But for men, if he makes a, quote, sacrifice for you and he's taking action, as long as he's taking action and you're having a good time, he feels successful. At the end of that time, he'll go, yeah, I provided that for her. I felt good about that. Is that you're feeling good makes him feel good about anything. So let me take this one step back and give you an example when I first learned that women didn't understand this about men. And that was, we had a little puppy, and Bonnie wanted a puppy. I said, sure, great. And she brought the dog to the vet twice. It needed 3 shots at 3 different visits. On the 3rd visit, she said, would you like to take the dog to the vet? I said, well, no. She got, well, how? I took the dog twice. Why would you not take the dog to the vet? I said, I didn't say I wouldn't take the dog to the vet. You asked me, would I like to take the dog to the vet? Why would I like to take the dog to the vet? You spent hours telling me how bad the whole experience was for you. The dog was barking too much. The vet was far away. It cost too much. All these things you said about why would anybody like to take the dog to the vet? She says, I cannot believe that I did it twice and you would not even do it once. I said, I'm happy to do it. She says, no, you're not. You just said you don't like to do it. I said, yes, I don't like to do it. I don't want to do it. But if it will make you happy, I'm happy to do it. And that's a very male thing. As long as you're happy when he does it, that's the key.
I am really just getting this for the first time because Brian says that to me all the time. If it'll make you happy, let's do this. And I always thought he was placating me, but I'm so glad. I'm so happy you explained that to me.
It's a real phenomenon, and it's different. Is that most women don't have that experience. If I was to sort of talk my wife into doing something, she's going to remember it always. And there's another little subtlety here, which is, it's called the grumbles. Now, if you ask a woman to do something, generally she's happy to do it. Women are very fluid and flexible, and they'll give and give until they give too much, and then they grumble. Okay, that's one kind of grumble. Now, men, if you ask a man to do something, he kind of grumbles. It just means that he's making a transition from what he was doing to what you're asking him to do. And the grumble is there to make sure that if he does it, it's worthwhile. So it's kind of like he's saying, this better be important. And and it is, anything that makes you happy is important. All you have to do is feel relieved and happy about it. And when they grumble, often a woman will say, okay, I'll just do it myself. That's not training him. That's not the right direction to go. Never say, okay, I'll just do it myself. Instead say, oh gosh, I can see you are really doing this other thing. I really appreciate it. And then be silent. He'll continue to grumble. But what's different about men is, for men, the grumbling goes away very quickly as they fulfill the task. And then it gets confirmed. Never again will the grumbles come up about that particular thing. If you reward him with a big hug and a thank you and a delight in what he did, then he starts to gradually learn this very important skill that most men don't know. And you have to help him to learn this if you want a good relationship, which is little things make a big difference with women. And that willingness to respond to things that aren't big emergencies is actually important. Whereas men think, in our world, you got to do big stuff. You do the stuff that's an emergency, that has to be done, that pays big. That's what's important. But it's all the little things of life that actually men don't realize. That's what really sustains a relationship and allows us to grow in love.
So you could then, just sort of recapping, if he says, where do you want to go to dinner, and you've already made a million decisions that day, you don't want to make another one, and I could just then say, well, gee, it would make me so happy if you would just pick one and surprise me.
Now, that would be great. And lots of men will then pick one, and then you'll find a reason why we shouldn't go.
No. We have to keep our mouth shut at that point.
That's right. That's where you have to just remember what it was like to go somewhere with him and just be together, so you didn't have to make the decision and you weren't alone and you could spend that time together. Because generally, from the man's point of view, we'll do this for a little humor, but a wife will often say to her husband, let's go out to eat. And he'll say, okay, where do you want to go? And she says, I don't know. Where do you think we should go? He says, let's do Mexican. Oh, no, we did Mexican last week. And then he says, Chinese. Oh, Chinese. You know, I don't like the MSG. How about Italian? Well, their food used to be good, but I think they changed chefs, and it's not good. It's just got a guy gets so frustrated. And so what I tell men, and that's the flip side of it, is I teach men, just assume that the first three objections are always going to be there. And then the next one, if you're patient about it and don't get frustrated, then your next suggestion will be selected. Because sometimes what a woman needs is time to explore what she's feeling inside. So if you don't know where you want to go and you don't trust him to know the right place, here's something you could do. I liked what you said too, of course. Just whatever he picks, you go, oh, good idea. That reminds me of something where my wife will say, should I wear the black dress or the white dress? And I say the black dress. She picks the white dress. A guy gets so frustrated with that. So the secret is when she says, black dress, white dress, I say white dress. She goes, okay, white dress. That's good. Then a guy feels like, oh, all right, I'm successful. It's ironic that men don't realize doing little things is important. However, feeling successful at little things that delight our wives does make us very happy as well as her very happy. It's a win-win. But let's say that you get in this conversation, he says, where do you want to go? You can say, well, I don't know exactly where I want to go yet. I just need to explore it out loud, and then we can decide in a few minutes. That way it gives him the patience. All right, we can do this, and then he'll say something, and at a certain point you say, good idea. When you can ever say good idea to what a guy does, he'll own the activity, and he'll feel like completely motivated and successful in it, as opposed to her owning it. Then she feels nervous, like, is he going to like it? Is he not going to like it? So we can make a win-win, and women's wisdom is letting him think he decided. And when he does think he decided, he will always bond with you more, and you'll be more appreciative of it that you didn't have to do it all yourself.
Okay, last question. So going to dinner is not a life-changing thing, but let's say we have something really big, really important, some unmet need or desire. What's the best way to set it up? Do we say to him, honey, I need 5 minutes to chat with you about something. It's not that big a deal, but it's important to me, and it would make me really happy if we could talk about it. Is that a good setup?
Oh, that was perfect. I can't improve upon
I'm
that.
listening.
And there's two things here. One is there's conversations where you talk about feelings, and if you sense there's any resistance on his part, then just let it be a conversation about feelings, and just share it, and just say, there's a lot of issues here. Would you just think about this and then tell me what you think we ought to do, and we can have a discussion, a problem-solving discussion. Now, I know that seems a little artificial, but for couples that get in arguments, it's very helpful to go one step at a time where you kind of share feelings, think about it, and then you come back and focus on solving the problem. Because if you mix them at the same time, men jump right in there and start solving problems, and often it's very hurtful to her because he's like saying stuff like, well, that's not important, and don't worry about this, and we should just do it this way, and don't worry about that. You kind of feel like you're being stepped on with your feelings. Also, when men hear a woman's feelings, wishes, wants, and needs without feeling being put upon to make a solution, they can now feel more connected to her, more empathy, more compassion comes forth, and more flexibility and a willingness to be there more. Not that he doesn't love her all the time, it's just you got to activate those different aspects of energy and motivation and flexibility and generosity, because we have to have our boundaries as well. And if we set stronger boundaries as to what I want to do, what I think is right, the more we don't feel loved. So whenever a man feels threatened, like he's done something wrong, his defenses go up and he tends to become very rigid rather than more fluid, more flexible, and creating a win-win situation.
So if I got this right, I would let's say you're my husband, I sit down and go, John, I'm really feeling conflicted about A, B, and C, and I don't really want us to figure out the solution right now or want you to figure it out, but could I just take a minute just to sort of vent and just be heard? And then later or tomorrow we could talk about a solution.
Well, that's wonderfully said. I would just say let's take 10 minutes. If you say 1 minute, he's actually thinking it's going to be over in 1 minute. So it's all right to say, can we just take 10 minutes and I want to explore out loud my feelings on this. I want you to know where I'm coming from. And then we can focus on finding a solution tomorrow. And delaying solutions gives him a chance to think about it rather than simply react to it. Because you have to remember, if you've got a lot of feelings about something, you've been thinking about it for a while and he hasn't. This same logic I explain to men is often men will hold things inside when there's a problem that we want something done about. We'll hold it inside, then we'll come to our partners and just sort of give the solution. Well, I think we ought to do this and this and this and buy this and this and this. And she goes, what? Well, wait. And she needs to process that and share lots of feelings, just like he processed all of that quietly inside. But you spring it on your partner, he kind of expects you to go like, yes, what a great idea, I like it. Instead of realizing that it took him a while to come to that solution, it's going to take her a while to work through her feelings to see the full positive aspect of it. So that's something, if you take that in consideration, sometimes a guy will make sort of a commanding, we should do this and we should do that, and you've got all this resistance to it. Once again, when you have resistance, soften it. I call buffer statements. You can say, well, that's probably a great idea, but you've been thinking about it for probably a while. I need some time to sort of explore these feelings out loud, so can we just have my reactions for a minute before we look at what we should really do? So in that way, it's giving him more understanding that you need time to sort of go through your adjustments. It probably took him time as well.
Oh, that's just perfect. Well, John, thank you so much for sharing your genius and your wisdom, and I just want to remind everybody you can get lots of John all the time at MarsVenus.com. Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.